say it, so I'm just going to say it. I'm teaching a comprehensive course on Microsoft Excel. But let me tell you, Excel is a magician's hat that pulls out solutions to problems you never thought possible. As a former beta tester wizard for Microsoft, I've created more spreadsheets than stars in the sky. Come with me on a journey that will blow your mind. We're going back to a time when accounting was done with, well, sand. This is 5,000 years ago when the ancient Mesopotamians ruled the world, and clay tablets were the ultimate tech. They invented writing and spreadsheets before spreadsheets even existed, with wedge-shaped writing called cuneiform pressed into clay tablets. They tracked their trades, taxes, and loans like it was nobody's business. Ugh! I think I'll add new shoes to the miscellaneous expenses column. And then came the paper ledger, the smartphone of the Middle Ages. The first tech revolution that changed the game for accountants and merchants everywhere. It allowed them to record several hundred financial transactions per day, a step up from clay tablets. And just when it seemed like spreadsheets had hit their limits, a new technology emerged. Computers with raw power at your fingertips. Programs like VisiCalc and Lotus 123 allowed for thousands of calculations per day. But with great power comes great responsibility. The undo function was yet to be invented. And today, Excel can do billions of calculations per day. So next time you open up the app, remember the journey it took to get here. And who knows where we'll go from here. Join me and unlock your full potential to wield thousands of years of history like a true wizard. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to our 238th weekly webcast. If this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. If you've been with us before, welcome back. And so the way this call works, this is an AMA, Ask Me Anything, like you see on Reddit. You can ask me business questions, career questions, investing questions, startup questions, etc. And my goal is to humbly help you take your career or your company to the nex level. So without further ado, let's begin. I see there's a lot of questions. Please keep typing them. Thank you. So I had an amazing trip last week to Rwanda, and Vital actually got me this shirt as well. And stick around at the very end of today's webcast. What I'll do is I'll play a video of what the completed school looks like in much more detail. But this is for all of you, for me to answer your questions. So let me get to your questions immediately, and thank you. All right, I'll kick it off with Chetan, who wrote, we all enjoyed the virtual tour of Project Magu. With Professor Chris and Mr. Vital. Thank you so much for that. And I can't believe we were able to do the webcast last week from the school in the middle of Africa in a remote village called Magu, and we had broadband as well. It's unbelievable. You wrote here, can you please talk about the recent Fed meeting and the hike by 25 basis points? Yeah. So what happened was the Federal Reserve, as you all know, increased interest rates by 0.25%. What surprised some investors, though, was the language that was used by the Federal Reserve. So what they did was they said that the economy, in the previous statement a month ago, they said we're seeing modest growth in the economy. And they changed the word moderate modest to moderate. And whenever the language changes slightly, it impacts investors' fears in terms of what the government might do going forward. So right now, interest rates are about 5.5% or so. It's the highest interest rates have been since 2021. And inflation is coming down. So the Fed raising rates is working because inflation was 9.1% 1 year ago. Now it's about 3%. The problem is this, though. The U.S. economy's GDP, meaning revenue for the U.S. economy, grew by 2.4% last quarter. And expectations were for just under 2%. That's a massive beat. And another issue is that the stock market, at least the NASDAQ, is having its best start to the year since the early 1980s. So what this does is it creates this wealth effect, so to speak, where everybody feels richer on paper, so everybody spends more money. And 2/3 of the United States economy is consumer spending. It's not big business, it's consumer spending. So the whole world is shocked at just how strong the spending results are in the United States. So what I think is going to happen is I could see rates going above 6%. Now, what the government wants to see is unemployment spike. It's not spiking at all. Once they see a bit of a spike in unemployment and once they see GDP growth start to come down a bit, then I think they'll stop raising rates. Now, the yield curve, which you can access at treasury.gov, and we talked about this in previous webcasts, the yield curve still indicates that a recession is coming because rates are higher today and the 30-year rates are lower. And whenever the 30-year rates are lower, it's an inverted yield curve. And if people think the government's going to cut rates in 30 years, meaning long-term debt, then that means that in the future, the government thinks, hey, things are not going to be good, so we're going to cut rates. Okay. All right. Next up, we got Alex P. from Utah. Good to see you. You wrote, top of the morning. Congratulations on the success of Project Magu and your recent intergalactic trailer. Thank you. And I started today's webcast with that as well. We had so much fun making that. Hats off to Adad Warda, my incredible producer director, for putting that together. And I've worked with him on 11 different trailers. Thank you. All right, next up, we got Mindy. Hey, Mindy. Mindy wrote, hi, Chris. Hope you're doing well. Likewise. I completed the MBA course in June. Is there some type of certificate we can get for completing the course? Yeah, absolutely. So what you can do is just email support@harounventures.com with your name as you want it to appear on the degree, and I'll send you a PDF version immediately. And thank you for that. You have a follow-up question, which is, how do we access the new artificial intelligence elective in the MBA degree program? Yeah, so anybody that's purchased my MBA degree program, you're going to get all my courses for free forever, meaning all the new electives. And I'm going deep, deep, deep into technology. I'm working right now very hard on adding a Python course to the curriculum as well with Luka Anison, who's a brilliant programmer, buddy of mine from Serbia. So all you have to do for anybody that's signed up for the Silver, Gold, or Platinum MBA program is go to the very last lecture, and you'll see a link there to get that course for free. Let me show you really quick, and then I'll move on to the next question. All right, so what you do, if you're on my webpage, harounmba.com, go here to all courses and MBA programs. And then what you're going to do is you're going to log in right here, okay? And after you log in, the courses you bought will be here, including the MBA if you bought it here. Go to the very last lecture to be able to access this course and this course as well for free. And I keep adding more and more electives. Again, I'm going deep, deep, deep into technology. And I hope you enjoy my electives. Thank you. Okay, next up, Justin, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. As many of you know, the profits from my MBA program and my courses go towards scholarships for many students all over the world, as well as building schools. And our goal is to build 1,000 schools in Africa. So we just have one for now, but we'll get there. Yeah. And Mark Benioff once said, and he's the founder of Salesforce, I met him a couple times, nice guy. He once said, we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in a year, and we massively underestimate what we can accomplish in a decade. So it took us a little bit longer to get the first school done in Rwanda, just given COVID. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, hey, Ryan. Ryan wrote, what is the main driving force behind TIPS, meaning Treasury Inflation Protected Securities? What a TIPS is it's a government security issued by the U.S. government where it's inflation protected. So if inflation goes up, you'll still be making money. You wrote, what is the driving force behind tips now being held by 99% US government? I didn't know that. Then you wrote, tips showed 90% AAA bonds in 2017. Now it is 99% US government. Wouldn't this seem not intuitive? Yeah, I agree with you. Let me know where you got that data from, because whenever the government cuts interest rates, what they do is this. Let's pretend that I'm the US government, the Federal Reserve, and you're all consumers or banks. What I do is I can buy bonds from you, okay, and sell them to you as well. So if I buy bonds from you, I buy them, I'm taking the bond and I'm flooding the market with money. This is fake money. And so whenever there's more money out there, what happens is interest rates go down. It's all about supply and demand. It's kind of like when you go to the grocery store and you see that avocados have gone up in price. And let's say avocados are $4 per avocado. And last week they were $1. So you go to the manager of the store and you say, hey, what's going on with avocados? And the manager says, oh, there's a drought in Mexico, and that's where we buy our avocados here in California. As a result, there's fewer avocados. So fewer avocados means a higher price of avocados. The same thing with money, right? So if there's less money out there, right, what that means is like if I sell bonds to you and you give me your money, there's less money out there, just like avocados. Money goes down in value and vice versa. Yeah. So when the Fed cuts interest rates, they're flooding the market with dollars and increasing the supply of dollars. By buying bonds back from you, more money out there means lower value of money, lower interest rates. Okay, next up, Alex P. from Utah wrote, I want to ask you about the Credit Card Competition Act piece of legislation. Do you side with the retailers who want to get rid of Visa or MasterCard, or do you side with the card issuers and banks? Yeah, I think on this one, I'm going to side with the banks, only because there's a lot more competition now for credit cards. You know, in the past, it was Visa, MasterCard, Amex. But now there's PayPal, there's Stripe, there's so many different ways to check out using different forms of payment, including cryptocurrencies in the not too distant future. Yeah. Okay, and then Mindy wrote, hi again, can you please explain the Fitch rating? Absolutely. So what happened over the past week is Fitch, which is one of the big three ratings agencies, along with Moody's and S&P. What Fitch did was they downgraded the U.S. debt. Okay, so people usually freak out when U.S. debt is downgraded. They should not, because this downgrade was not that big. It was just a slight downgrade. The last downgrade that we saw of U.S. debt was much more extreme, which was in August of 2011. And historically, whenever a major market's debt is downgraded, most of the time, 1 year later, the markets are higher. I have precedents for this in August of 2011 with the U.S. government, as well as with the Bank of with Canada and the Japanese yen. You can go back and back test that as well. I wouldn't worry about that. Yeah. Next up, we have Vicente. How are you? Vicente is one of my amazing graduates from my MBA program who works in investment banking at Goldman Sachs now. So Vicente, great to see you always. Thank you so much for the text as well. You wrote, I enrolled in an AI course. Thank you. You're most welcome. And I hope you enjoy it. And congratulations again on getting that amazing job. Okay. Moving on to Gio, who wrote, hey, Chris, your MBA is great. Thank you. I'm a network engineer by profession, and I'm having experiences in routing, switching, and wireless for 10 years, meaning Cisco, Juniper, etc. Can you suggest the best course of doing a Master's of Science in Australia or Canada? Yeah. So I would only do a Master's of Science if you've networked like crazy and you can't get the job or switch careers of your dream. So if I could go back in time, would I have gotten my MBA from Columbia University? I don't know. Probably not. Because I tried to switch careers and I set up like 1 or 2 informational meetings and I couldn't do it. But what I want you to do is I want you to set up 100 informational meetings. And if you can't get the job of your dreams or change careers, then I want you to consider going and spending 50 or 100K on a graduate degree. And the best way to network is, if you want, you can get my book for free. It's on my website, harounmba.com. If you network like crazy, like you pick a company you want to work at, let's say Google, And I was just in Rwanda, and I was showing the students in the class, the school we built, that there's 100 people that work at Google that are from Rwanda. So all you have to do is send an email in LinkedIn to people you have something in common with. It might be you're from Rwanda as well, or you might have gone to the same high school. And I want you to set up an informational meeting. And I want you to set up 20 informational meetings with people at a company you want to work at. And during that informational meeting, and I document exactly how to do all this stuff in this book for my website, but during this informational meeting, what I want you to do is this. I want you to talk about what you have in common with them in the first 10 minutes. Okay, you always bond before business, right? Business is about relationships first and product knowledge second. Your network is your net worth. Then what I want you to do is I want you to talk about your interest in changing careers. And they'll very politely ask you after 10 minutes or so, why are we meeting? So that's what I want you to do. Rinse, lather, repeat, do it 20 times. And I promise you, this will work for you. Okay. The problem is when you see a job opening online and you apply, your chances of getting that job are literally 1 out of 250. And the person that ultimately gets the job knows somebody at the company. So these are the new rules of commerce, and we should adhere to them. Yeah. All right. Next up, Vicente wrote, can you give a 1 to 2 minute overview of ChatGPT versus alternatives? Absolutely. So ChatGPT was created by OpenAI and released to the public last November of 2022. Since then, Microsoft has released their own version of the product, which is actually based on ChatGPT 4. And Microsoft calls it Bing Chat. And in order to use Bing Chat, you have to download the Edge browser, which is bloatware. It takes a long time to load. But what's great about Bing Chat versus ChatGPT is Bing Chat will give you all the sources of the data. So when you ask Bing Chat to do something for you, write an essay or whatever it is, it will show you all the sources in real time. Because the problem with traditional ChatGPT, meaning from OpenAI, is the sources are not listed, and quite often it's confidently wrong. Little side note, please do not write essays for school or publish articles using ChatGPT or any AI product. The reason I say that is because the copyright laws have not been set yet, and you can get in a lot of trouble. In fact, my son, Andrew, he's older now. He's in Berkeley University, close to where I live. Whenever he submits a paper, it's automatically checked to see if he used an AI engine. Be careful with that. Okay, so we talked about Bing with sources. Let's move on now to Bard, which is Google's product. Bard has the coolest interface of all three, but I'd say it's not nearly as good with results as Bing Chat is, or ChatGPT itself. Now, what's interesting is the T in ChatGPT was invented by Google years ago. And so this begs the question, why didn't Google release their own AI engine similar to ChatGPT years ago if they invented the T in ChatGPT? Well, the reason is the classic innovator's dilemma. So if Google had done so, released their own AI engine years ago, it would have hurt their operating profits by about $30 billion per year, and investors would have been upset with that, of course, right? So it paid for them not to innovate. And the reason I say that is because setting up these comprehensive artificial intelligence-based platforms is really expensive. It can cost $100 billion. And that's why when we use ChatGPT 4, we have to pay for it. Usually new products are free. There's a reason we pay for it. Same thing with DALL-E. Okay. All right. Next up, GeoJoy, and great to see you on the call. I hope you join us again. Wrote, I'm from India, and I want to get a PR in Australia or Canada, meaning permanent residency. My wife has 6 years experience as a software engineer in an MNC, meaning multinational company called Cognizant. And you wrote, will she get software job in Australia or Canada with a visa? Yeah, it's really, really hard to do so. So what I recommend doing is this. And I'm going to answer this generically to apply to everybody on this call. Let's say you live in country X and you want to move to country Y. What I recommend doing is in country X, join a big company whose headquarters are in country Y. Stay there for 5 or 10 years do really, really well, and eventually they're going to promote you to the mothership, meaning they're going to relocate you and your family, and they'll get you a visa as well. Yeah. Okay. And let me give an example. Let's say that you're based in India and you work for Coca-Cola, and your dream is to come to Atlanta or Georgia, where the headquarters of Coke are in the United States. So you join Coca-Cola and you work very hard for 5 or 10 years. You rise up through the ranks. Eventually, Coca-Cola is going to promote you to a vice president role, for example, and relocate you and your family to the mothership, meaning their headquarters in the United States. Okay. Hey, Simon, how are you, man? Simon goes by Scatter P. The Excel thing looks amazing, you wrote. Thank you. It's so good to see you. And thank your mother again for the wonderful feedback she gave. Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, Renveer from Mauritius wrote, hey, Chris, congrats on the Excel course. Thank you. Thank you. And by the way, what Renveer did was exactly what I explained before when it came to networking, right? He networked like crazy, and he got one-on-one meetings with CEOs of big real estate companies as well in Mauritius, which has helped his career tremendously. This stuff works, guys. And what he did actually was he went to a shareholder meeting. And if you want to meet with a CEO of any company, go to the shareholder meeting and introduce yourself at the end of the meeting to the CEO. They will give you the time of day, and they will not leave until everybody in the audience leaves. And I can talk about that in more detail if you want me to. Always go right to the top. You got nothing to lose, especially when you're selling. Next up, Brian from DC. Brian, great to see you. And Brian, I'm looking forward to our podcast coming up very soon. Hope you're doing well. You wrote, looks like your trip was a success and the school looked amazing. Thank you. Thank you. It's surreal that it's done. I still can't believe it. Yeah. Okay. And then next question is from Simon. Are there any plans for a school in Nigeria? That's right. I remember you had cryptocurrency contacts there. Yes, there is. Now, one of my students named Kemi Tade is helping me build a school in honor of her mother. Okay, and I'll show you Kemi. She's amazing. Whoops. Looks like I'm in private mode here. Give me a second, guys. Okay, let me go here and quit this. And I'm going to show you her LinkedIn profile as well, just as a quick example of how to make an amazing LinkedIn profile. Okay. And Kemi, what she did, it's fun doing these live calls. What she did was she networked like crazy using LinkedIn, and she actually got to present with the #1 incubator company in the world called Y Combinator. So I'm building a school with Kemi next. Now, she lives in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, but that's what we're building next. And then after that, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be building one in Kenya with another one of my students. Yeah. All right. Okay. And by the way, if you want tips on how to make a great LinkedIn profile, they're also in this book, which you can get from my website, which is harounmba.com. Thank you. Okay. Derajay wrote, hi, Chris. I think you're back in the USA. I am. It's good to be home, although I love my trip. Yeah. And then Vicente wrote, is it possible to review my resume live during office hours at the end? Yeah, absolutely. So Vicente, you can join you can go to the calendar for the MBA program, and during office hours, I'll review it for you over Zoom today. Yeah, thank you. Always good to see you. Okay, and Vicente, I've got my my annual graduation and networking event for my MBA degree program. It's here in the Bay Area on August 12th and 13th. I hope you can make it. It's going to be in Burlingame, where you used to work. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Shihan, who wrote, Chris, I finally published my first book on Amazon called Accounting Fundamentals, a non-finance manager's guide. Thanks for the inspiration. I've thanked you in my book as well. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. And anybody can write a book, and I'm going to provide you all with a template right now. The template I'm going to give you, which is free, is a book that's 6 inches by 9 inches. It's a Microsoft Word doc with 1 page of instructions on how to publish it for free on Audible, Amazon Print, Amazon Kindle. Anybody can do it. And when you go to your informational meetings or interviews or meeting with potential customers, give them your book. And if you think that's too much work, just ask yourself this one question. How badly do you want that job or that customer? Okay, excellent. Thank you. Now, if you want the templates, what you can do is just go to my website, okay, harounmba.com/ all lowercase, write book. Right there. See, all lowercase, write book. And you can download the book template from here with instructions on how to publish it. And we all have to learn to, and I say this with love in my heart because I made lots of mistakes in my life. We all have to learn how to repurpose content as well. So we can work smarter, not harder. What I did for 2 years, between 2013 and 2015, was I published one article every week on LinkedIn. And then the articles that got the most likes, I put first in my book. And I repurposed this book as well. And I made courses from many of the chapters in this. And I also made vlogs, TikToks, etc. And Nintendo's been doing this since the beginning of time. Nintendo is the oldest tech company in the world. Nintendo, as many of you know, they re-released their older 8-bit, 16-bit, 64-bit games, etc. on their newer consoles. It cost them nothing. They repurposed the content. We have to do the same. Okay. Next up, Carolyn from Ontario, Canada wrote, "Good morning, Chris. Nice to have you back. I love the Excel commercial." Thank you. I appreciate that. And I hope you're doing well. Okay. Moving on to Renveer from Mauritius, who wrote, "I was wondering, what are your top 3 guides to learn more effectively in your MBA program?" Yeah. So the way I set up the MBA program is I feel like I'm a waiter. And this is where I proposed to my wife, Christine, in Paris. I feel like I'm a waiter. And when you go to a restaurant, you only order 1 or 2 things on the menu, but you look at everything. So my job, as an instructor, is to provide you with an overview of every type of career. And I only want you to watch the lessons in the MBA program that you're most passionate about. If you're passionate about finance, watch those. If you're passionate about entrepreneurship, watch those, etc. If you're passionate about AI or tech, just watch the tech electives as well. Do what you're most passionate about. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2 is the entire MBA program is indexed. So let me go over here and show you this really quickly. So let me go to about, I think it's here, search. Yeah. So whatever you enter in here will take you immediately to the portion, the part of the MBA program where we cover that topic. For example, if you're doing options and you're curious, what does Chris mean by Vega, right? So what you do is you enter this in here. And then you can scroll down, select the MBA that you purchased, and just watch the lecture that way. So that's 2. You asked for 3. Now it's hard. I have to make one up. Let's see here. Okay, the third way to do it. Oh yeah, only watch my MBA program when you sign up. When you really want to learn, right? Don't feel like it's work. If it feels like work, I want you to ask for your money back. I want you to do it when you're in the right mood, and I want you to enjoy it. And I don't want you to do any homework either, because I teach you everything in class. Yeah. All right, that third one was a bit of a stretch. All right. Next up, Shihan wrote, wow, I love this cool video. I'm interested to learn how you prepared this, please. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, at the beginning of this webcast, I showed an Excel trailer. I hired a brilliant man named Adad Warda. And he's created 11 of my trailers over the years. And we went all out for this. And we had a lot of fun. So he did most of the work. Of course, I reviewed the script and I had to memorize the lines and stuff. But I outsourced it. And I outsource everything I do. I don't have any full-time employees. I outsource everything. I use a lot of software automation as well. So my margins are high enough so I can donate money to the schools I want to build. So he took care of everything. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you can see a 5-minute behind the scenes video on how we made it. But we went down to Southern California for it, and we rented a bunch of Hollywood studios. It was a big investment, but worth it. And the studios we rented were movies that Clint Eastwood made called American Sniper. Bradley Cooper was in it. We rented a couple of studios. It was great. It was amazing. Thank God we did it when we did it, because of the strike now in Hollywood. Yeah, we got lucky. Okay. But dude, I gotta tell you, man, it's hard to memorize lines. Like I have a newfound respect for actors. When you're being recorded and you're acting, what you don't see is behind the cameras, there's a gazillion people waving, saying, do this, etc. And it's so hard to nail every take. And I felt so bad when I screwed up a take, which happened a lot. because the camera guy was carrying this massive exoskeleton and it was so hard for him. Yeah. But it was fun. Okay, and Brian, thank you for that. Your ad rocks. Thank you. Always trying to push the goalpost. Oot. That's how we say oot in Canada. It's not out, Americans. It's oot. Okay. Miss T. Oh my gosh, it's been a while, Miss T. Great to see you. I remember you well. You're from Jamaica and you live in Toronto. I remember that. And you're trying to set up something with Drake to create something like Caravana, but for better music in Toronto. So Miss T wrote, it's Tanya. I RSVP'd for the MBA graduation on August 12th. And I wanted to know which hotel should I stay at? And will anybody be coming on Thursday? I can come Thursday at mine. Oh my God, it'd be so good to see you. Yeah. So all you have to do for the graduation, and this is just for gold and platinum students, go to my website, harounmba.com. Okay. And then I want you to go up here to About. Okay. Or pardon me, go here to MBA Login. And here, the third item down is August 12th and 13th graduation details. All the FAQs are in there. And when you click on that, just please use the password that I provide you with in class. Thanks. And if you forgot the password, email me at support@harounventures.com. Thank you. Awesome. I'm looking forward to meeting you. You better wear your Blue Jay shirt. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we got Mike Flynn. Hey, Mike. Mike wrote, Chris, a great video regarding Excel. Must have cost you a fortune to produce it. Yeah. So the way I look at investing, and we always have to be long-term focused, be it whenever you work on marketing or you invest in a company. The longer the view, the wiser the intention, as Warren Buffett said. But the way I think about it is this. Coca-Cola spends between 8 and 10% of their annual revenue every single year on advertising. So Coke has $40 billion in annual revenue. They spend about $4 billion every single year on advertising. Okay. Pepsi, I just happen to have this with me. Pepsi Nitro is so good, by the way. Pepsi, they spend closer to 20%. So the way I think about it is I think of the lifetime value, meaning how much revenue I'm going to make from that entire course, right, over the course of 20 years, whatever. And I'm spent 10% of that. Yeah. I always think long-term. And I always create a net present value formula on it. In order to discount the future cash flows into today's terms. Happy to talk about that in more detail if you want me to. Yeah. But advertising is tricky because when I first started doing marketing, like I didn't get it. I wanted a sale right away. And my wife, who works in marketing, she's amazing. She said to me, Chris, you have to think of marketing as like dating. You don't get married after one date. It might take 10 or 20 dates. And before you buy a car from Toyota, for example, you usually see between 10 and 20 commercials. So you got to be very long-term focused when it comes to marketing and advertising. And for those of you that are not yet on TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, or YouTube, please start creating content now, because I think you're going to look back 10 years from now and view every single YouTube video as a little coffee franchise, right? Coffee shop franchise that pays dividends. Cost you nothing. And YouTube is the only gold rush in history where it costs you nothing to make the product. And YouTube is also the only gold rush in history where you can get access to gazillions of customers for free. Yeah. Just be consistent if you do it. Happy to talk about that in more detail if you guys have follow-ups. Thank you. Rose, how are you? And Rose, I will respond to the reference letter soon. I promise you. I just got back from Africa. I'm happy to support and help you. And thank you for your support over the years as well. Rose was one of my very first students in my MBA program years ago. So Rose wrote, that Oscar is coming early. God willing, we'll see. And then you wrote, the mixing is so crisp. Your sound engineer perfectly captured the depth of your voice. What's the main difference between this Excel course and the past ones? So I only have one Excel course. So I actually released it a couple of months ago. And I didn't really market the course. And I wanted to see, first of all, if it's going to get good ratings. And the ratings were great, humbly. So I decided, screw it, let's do it, as Sir Richard Branson said. And we went for it. Yeah. Okay. Always good to see you. And thank you for supporting other schools in Africa as well. I know you donate a lot of money, and God bless you for that. Okay, next up we have How-To Vids. Wrote, hey, Chris, good to see you. Thank you. Likewise. It was so nice to see you last week when I was in Rwanda. Thank you. And you wrote, congratulations on the school. It's such a blessing. Yeah, it was unbelievable, man. I had so much fun. And I got to tell you, people in Rwanda are so much happier than any place I've been in the world. So happy. Yeah. They know how to live too. And Vital's grandmother, who's the dude I made the school with, his grandmother is like 103 years old and she looks like she's 50. She's amazing. And of course I asked her, what's your secret? She gave me a one-word answer. She said, God. And I loved her even more after that. Yeah. Okay, let me know, guys, if I'm overexposed here. I feel like the lighting might be a little bit too much. So what you want to do, you see my face here, right here in the middle? You want that to be around 80. If I look overexposed, let me know. You don't have to answer, but unless you think I'm overexposed. Thanks. Okay. All right. And then Mike wrote, is the U.S. downgrade from AAA to AA plus a signal to panic, inevitable recession coming? Yeah, so I think the probability of recession now is probably around 25%. Earlier this year, recall I had Magu, an economist, on my call. I interviewed him. He said that the odds were 50-50 earlier this year. Now it's probably 25%. I wouldn't worry. It's a minor downgrade, and it's not nearly as extreme of a downgrade as what we saw in August of 2011. And recall back then, 1 year later, the market was higher. Yeah. Okay. And how to vids is Mel? Oh, Melody, great to see you. I didn't recognize you. Yeah. Okay. And thank you for donating those courses as well. God bless you for that. Okay. Next up, Vicente wrote, how do we protect against a recession? What asset class? What should we buy if there's a downturn? Yeah. So I'm always very long-term focused, but one simplistic rule to use is this. This is old school. You take 100 minus your age. Okay. So if you're 25, 100 minus 25 is 75. And 75% of your investment should be in growth stocks, risk stocks, not too risky, but growth, and 25% in value, because you got the rest of your life to make it up again, to make more money if growth stocks tank. Conversely, if you're 95 years old, 100 minus 95 is 5. 5% of your investment should be in growth stocks, meaning riskier ones, and 95% in AAA AAA bonds or high dividend yielding stocks. Yeah, and the reason I say it's old school is because a lot of people are well over 100. In fact, I think there are people on this call today that will live to 150. And if you don't believe me, if you go back to the 1950s, life expectancy globally was 26 years lower than it is today. So if you're 51, like I am, I'm really 25, I think. Yeah. And the average age of somebody starting a company in America now is 52. Life begins at 52. Okay. Let's see. Next up. But during recession, high dividend yielding stocks usually outperform. So there's this theory called the dogs of the Dow theory, where what you do is you take the 5 highest dividend yielding stocks in the Dow 30 and just invest in those. Yeah, do your research first, those. And those are usually recession proof. Okay, and Liesel wrote, I saw your Excel Super Bowl ad. It was amazing. Congrats on the school too. Thank you. I appreciate it. So much is going on, including graduation next week as well. Yeah. Okay. And then Melody wrote, please make sure to give this a thumbs up. Oh yeah, thank you. Click the like button if you guys are getting value out of this call. Thank you. Okay. Vicente wrote, how do I start building a work class network? How do I build a network in the Hamptons, not knowing now? Yeah. Yeah. And I used to go to the Hamptons as well when I lived in New York City, like you do right now. It's like an hour and a half drive on that Hampton Jitney. It's a bus. It's hard because everybody in the Hamptons, most people are from New York City, right? You might be able to actually go to meetup.com and type investment banking Hamptons or the zip code for the Hamptons and schedule a meeting there. And meetup.com works in every country in the world. Just type in your zip code or postal code and a topic you're interested in, and you can meet with people either virtually over Zoom or in person. Yeah. Okay. All right. And then Vicente wrote, how do I revamp my mentorship relationships, revive or restructure my personal board of directors? Yeah. We all need Yodas. Okay. We all need multiple Yodas or mentors to help us. So I would get mentors, not just in your department at Goldman Investment Banking, but I would find people also in different departments like sales and trading, fixed income, equities, etc. Yeah. And what you want to do is you want to find mentors that have at least one thing in common with you. How do you do it? Well, you do an advanced search in LinkedIn, and you search for people that have something in common with you to the extent that maybe they went to the same high school as you, the same university, maybe they're from the same hometown. And then you send an in-mail. So for example, for me, I went to the Toronto French School in Canada, and I live in the Bay Area now. So if I did an advanced search in LinkedIn, for my zip code, 94010, and Toronto French School, I will probably find a bunch of people here in the Bay Area that went there as well. Then I send an in-mail, okay? And don't send emails because nobody reads them. But you've all read every in-mail you've ever gotten. And the in-mail subject line should be high. They're going to open it anyway. We all do. And the content should be like this. John, hope all is well. I also went to the Toronto French School, and I also live here in the Bay Area. Please let me know if you have time for a coffee or a Zoom meeting. Thanks a lot. Your future boss. Okay. Just kidding. Thanks a lot, Chris. Yeah. And don't say why you want to meet. And it's really important. I'm not saying be unethical. There's nothing unethical with leaving information out like that. But if you say why you want to meet, like you're trying to get a job or something, they probably won't answer because they feel bad. They might not be able to help you. Yeah. Okay. And then Melody wrote, that is so kind of you to give your classes for free, Chris. No, thank you. Thank you. No, and anybody who works in a charity, they get my stuff for free forever. And of course, everybody in Rwanda as well, the schools where we're building. Yeah. And our next one we're building, we're trying to get Paul Kagame, who's the president of Rwanda, to cut the ribbon. We got some senior politicians involved last Thursday evening to help us cut the ribbon. And we're going to get Paul Kagame at some point to cut the ribbon for the next one. Okay, next up, Hamza wrote, how do you execute an idea without overthinking it? Yeah. So failing to plan is planning to fail. Most people, when they launch a company, they don't write a business plan. And launching a company can be one of the most important decisions you make in your life. Because if you don't execute properly, you can lose your money, your health, your relationships, etc. You die younger. So you got to write a thorough business plan first. And in my MBA degree program, in the third semester, we have a venture capital boot camp where I teach you how to write a business plan based on my experience investing in companies when I worked in VC, etc. Right? Always plan first. Yeah. Every battle is won before it's been fought. That's a famous quote from Sun Tzu in The Art of War. Okay. And the way you know, by the way, you have a good business plan is if you finish the business plan. Most business plans I've written, I've never finished because going through the process of writing the business plan, I realized these are crappy ideas. Yeah. Same thing with an investment. In my MBA program, I provide you with all the frameworks you need to do your own due diligence on any type of investment. Finish those templates. Okay. Always, always, always. And if you don't finish them, don't invest. Just buy ETFs. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Radasayan wrote, what is the difference between physical and online, your MBA programs? Yeah. So if you want to learn more about the MBA program and read the FAQs, just go to harounmba.com and then scroll down. And then here's all the FAQs here. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. All right. All right, next up, Rose, who lives in Virginia, wrote, please let me know how Ben and I can go about partnering with you to finish building the school in Uganda. We have the land already. How much money do we need to raise to partner with you? Rose, God bless you. Okay, Rose, set up a call with me. Okay, so just send an email to support@harounventures.com. We'll set up a call and we'll give you tons of support and we'll help you out. God bless you for that. Thank you. And I still have the t-shirt I bought from you years ago, and the profits went towards your school as well. Okay. And again, at the very end of today's webcast, what I'll do is I'll play a video of the school. Yeah. And how to donate directly to Vital. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Mohammed wrote, good afternoon, Chris. Hey, lots of love from Saga. Excellent. Good to see you. Good to see you. Moving on to Melody, who wrote, I still use the networking book by you, Chris. That book has actually helped me grow my network. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. All right, next up, Alex P. wrote, I agree with you on siding with the banks regarding Credit Card Competition Act. My main reason is because there will be more fraud and privacy protection, which is huge for the consumer. Absolutely, man. If you pay with cryptocurrencies, cryptos are unregulated. Most cryptos are a scam. Yeah. And I finally got verified on Instagram because somebody was pretending to be me and scam my students for cryptos. I'll never ask you guys for money. Okay. Moving on to Will, who wrote, it seems like the last couple of months, so many AI art programs have come out. Why are they coming out so close to each other? Was there a breakthrough or something? Yeah, absolutely. So the best AI product I like to use for art is Midjourney. And in my artificial intelligence course, I explain how to use that and DALL-E in a lot of detail. And the crescendo, I guess the straw that broke the camel's back to open the floodgate to make AI art more enticing, is people that used to charge $40,000 for video game art have seen their business fall off a cliff. The reason is because a lot of people are using Midjourney, Stable Diffusion, and DALL-E to do it. Yeah, and again, I explain how to use DALL-E and Stable Diffusion in my AI elective. It's really easy to do. Okay, and the reason why so many companies are coming out so quickly with AI art is because it's a gold rush. It's a gold rush, just like the .com gold rush that started in 1995. Yeah, it's a land grab. Okay. And then Ryan wrote, Chris, for tips, Treasury, inflation protected securities, I got the information from Yahoo Finance. The same trend also applies to BNDX as well. Major holdings by US and others are not available. Yeah, always question the information you see on Yahoo Finance and always go directly to the source. I know I use it a lot and I get my students to go there a lot, but always go directly to the source, which might be treasury.gov for United States government debt, or it might be sec.gov for annual reports, 8Ks, etc. For companies. Yeah. And while we're on that topic, I get a question every now and then about Treasury Direct. Okay, so if you live in the United States, you can actually buy savings bonds, okay, Series I. And right here, you see it's 4.3%. Okay, so, and you will never lose money on this as well. And this is offered by the US government directly to consumers, which is why it's called Treasury Direct. Banks are not allowed to sell this product to us. Okay, so there's not much marketing done for this. But if you go here, you can invest about 10 grand per year, okay, and they're probably going to increase that to 30 grand very soon, and make 4.3%. Now, this interest rate resets every 6 months based on what the inflation is. So if inflation goes down, this will go down as well in 6 months, okay, on November 1st, when they price it again. If inflation goes up, this will go up as well. Yeah, and you cannot lose money on this as well. I think you do pay federal tax, though. Okay, and I think it's only available to people based in the U.S. Okay, Manas, how are you, man? Great to see you. Manas is from India, a good friend of mine. Manas wrote, good morning, my dear mentor, and what a wonderful school you guys built in Rwanda. Kudos, and what a wonderful Excel trailer. Wonderful work, my mentor. Oh, thank you. God bless you. Thank you, and congratulations on all the success you've had on Udemy with your courses. Thank you. Okay, now Melody wrote, with respect to Google, with their AI product called Bard, wrote, I agree, Bard still needs some work, but I do like the layout. Yeah, the interface is sick. Yeah. You wrote, as for your network books, it helped me connect with brands to help them with their business. Awesome. Yeah, your network is your net worth. Yeah, always. And one of the issues with high school and undergrad and business degrees is they don't teach you the most important stuff to be successful. They don't teach you how to network or how to present. And a lot of people, that do very well in school, and by the way, doing well in school does not mean you're going to do well in business. But a lot of people that do really well in school and get good grades, they join a big company and they keep their head down, they work hard, and they figure, someone's going to notice me for doing a good job. Kind of like when I was younger, I got good grades and, people noticed me and said, congratulations. Then you look around when you join the corporate world and you realize, oh my God, everybody's getting promoted and raises faster than me. What am I doing wrong? Well, the problem is you're not networking. We need to network like crazy. If you want to get a promotion or a raise, you have to ask for it. And I can go into detail on how to ask if you all want me to. I've talked about this before. But the secret is that most people that make vice president level or higher at big companies, what you don't see is behind the doors, their one-on-one meetings with their managers. They ask for a raise or a promotion multiple times. And there's a tactful way to do it as well. Again, I'm happy to talk about that in more detail if you want me to. Okay. Love this shirt, man. It's cool. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, Fitch downgraded the U.S. debt to AA+. Not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad at all. Yeah. And it's nothing like the downgrade we saw back in August of 2011. Yeah. You wrote, not that bad, but the Indian market and the Japanese Nikkei dropped 2% and still dropping. Is that concerning if you were in the market? Yeah. I don't really know if there's much of a correlation between U.S. debt and overseas markets. Yeah. Yeah. And I never get worried about that sort of thing. I'm always very long-term focused when I invest. Yeah. Okay, moving on to Shivanth. Hey, how are you? You wrote, you're a great storyteller. Thank you. And how is Genpact as a company? They're offering FINRA securities in India to me, but I don't know if this is a good option, and I want to shift the valuation later. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I'm so sorry. Okay. Next up, the Berlin from San Bernardino, who I'm going to see you in person, I think, right? You and your family on August 12th and 13th. You wrote, Chris, can yellow trucking be the beginning of a layoff trend? One data point doesn't make a trend, but two does. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had three of the four biggest bank failures in history over the past year in the United States, but I think it'll be somewhat contained. Yeah, trucking, I don't think so. I think it's just a one-off at this point. Yeah. Okay. And then you wrote, Chris, what's the dress code for graduation? Wear whatever you want. I'm going to wear what I usually wear on this weekly call, which is my jacket, and not this, but just a white button-down t-shirt. Yeah, wear whatever you want. And a lot of people, what they do is they buy graduation cap and gown as well. Now, if you go to the FAQ portion of my website for Gold and Platinum students, you'll see exactly where to buy the robe and stuff from Amazon for cheap, of course. Looking forward to meeting with you. Okay, next up, Alex wrote, in the shadows of Palo Alto, where rich people live, sorry. In the shadows of Palo Alto, do you ever do cold plunges? I did my first one in the mountains of Utah, and it was amazing. I've never done it, but Tony Robbins, who I've met, great guy, he invested in one of my companies years ago. What he was saying is that at his house, where he lives in Florida on the water, and he used to live in California, but he moved because taxes are too high on the left coast here. But right in his house, he has this tiny little pool. And every morning he gets in, and it is freezing. It's almost ice. And it helps him to think better and speak gooder and stuff, he said. I can't do cold showers, just not me. It's uncomfortable. Yeah. Okay. Next up, we have Manas, who wrote, the United States S&P 500 and Dow are performing way too well despite all the hikes. It's weird, but why is so much optimism when real estate is burning red hot and the U.S. average homes cost $230,000? Yeah. So again, what's happened is, given the fact that the markets are up a lot this year, it's created this wealth effect. And it's had a massive impact on consumer spending. 2/3 of the U.S. economy is consumer spending, not big business. So what we've seen is last quarter, GDP growth was 2.4% year over year. Expectations were for just under 2%. And it's because of the voracious appetite of the U.S. consumer. And that's why the whole world watches the U.S. consumer closely, because the U.S. economy is the biggest economy in the world, and the consumer drives it. Yeah, we're all shocked at just how strong the U.S. consumer is. And I think part of this goes back to the pandemic. What happened after the pandemic was there's this whole new mentality, way of thinking called YOLO. YOLO stands for you only live once. And people are just kind of saying, screw it, man. I'm just going to spend and be happy today. Okay. Next up, Alex wrote, I want to build a relationship business between two tables, but there are duplicate values in both columns. I try to link. I cannot remove the duplicate values because they're tax EIN. What should I do? Yeah. Okay, in Excel, what you can do is you can create a filter. And when you create a filter in Excel, you go to data, ribbon, then filter. there's a little checkbox that says unique records only. That might help. And if that does not help, let me know. I'm happy to show you in real time as well. Thanks. Okay. Melody wrote, everyone is asking such good questions in the chat. I agree. Amen to that. And Nintendo, how are you? Spelled like Nintendo, but Nintendo. By the way, when the Nintendo Switch came out, my kids wanted it so badly. What I did was I searched on eBay using game theory. Instead of searching for Nintendo Switch, I spelled Nintendo wrong. Nintendo, IDEO instead of EDO or something. And I was able to buy it, right, using game theory. And I used to do that with baseball cards and Wayne Gretzky rookie cards as well. Now I told the whole world I can't do that anymore. But Nintendo wrote, I love what you're doing in Rwanda. Thank you. What kind of simple business using AI do you think will be a big hit in the future? Yeah. So a lot of people are scared of AI. They think it's going to take their jobs. We always adapt. Remember back in the 1980s when we had robotic-based production of cars, everybody was worried that robots would take our jobs. We always adapt. We always do. You know, we've been in the information economy for several decades now. I think that AI, ChatGPT, etc., is going to replace really mundane, repetitive tasks. And that's a good thing. So that we can all focus on innovation and R&D. We always adapt. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Pranav wrote, people say we require an MBA to start a business, while some others say starting a business first to get to know about the game of learning. What is your take? Yeah. So things are changing. So universities are in secular decline. The top companies in the world, including Google, IBM, Facebook, Apple, Wells Fargo, etc., do not require a university degree anymore. Universities are in secular decline. Yeah. In fact, today, 9% fewer people are applying to universities than pre-pandemic levels. Yeah. And the problem with universities is that a lot of people get in because of who their parents are or because of legacies if their parents went there. That's not fair. That's not an equitable future. That's not fair at all. So things are changing. Yeah. And I really do believe that in my lifetime, only 50 universities will still be alive. And what's going to happen is people are going to say, hey, I'm only going to go to university and spend $100K if I can get into a great brand name like Oxford or Harvard, etc. Otherwise, I think people are just going to learn online. It's more cost effective. Yeah. All right. Next up, Manas wrote, the SEC asked Coinbase to delist all coins except Bitcoin, as they think is the only security. Will the SEC destroy Coinbase stock down 9% since U.S. is getting way too hard on Coinbase? Your thoughts? Yeah. So it's usually a legal battle. So when two parties are debating, right, when it comes to negotiations or arbitration, both parties basically say, I want this or I want this, and they'll meet in the middle. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Coinbase is going to delist all coins. Yeah, but I'm shocked actually that Ripple won that lawsuit in New York State Southern District. I'm shocked, but I still do believe that the Securities and Exchange Commission is going to regulate at some point all cryptocurrencies, kind of like the SEC regulates stocks as well. Before you invest in anything, you should be able to read about the risks, which is what investment wankers create with these things. I think it's only a matter of time until the SEC regulates all cryptos. And what usually happens in finance is if there's a material event where a lot of people lose money, then regulation usually comes 1 or 2 years later. It happened in 2008 with the financial crisis. And I think it's going to happen later this year or next year because of FTX's downfall last year. Okay. And next up, if Yellow Trucking lays off 30,000 employees, and if more layoffs happen as the Fed wants, won't that cut production, meaning prices will go up at some point and can no. So the higher unemployment is, the lower inflation is, and the lower economic growth is. Yeah. So if the Federal Reserve raises rates to above 6%, which I think is coming, then unemployment will tick up, which will have an adverse impact on inflation. Prices will go down. Inflation today is 3% versus 9.1% 1 year ago. It's 3% because the government has been raising interest rates. So their interest rate hikes is helping. Yeah. Okay. And the question is, what do you think the long-term impact are of the Fitch downgrade from AAA to AA plus? I wouldn't read too much into that. It's really a minor downgrade. Again, if you go back to August of 2011, there was a massive downgrade, and the markets freaked out then. But 1 year later, the markets were higher. And historically, if you back test this, for major markets, when their debt gets downgraded, the market's usually higher 1 year later. Usually, but not in all cases. The precedents include the United States being downgraded in the past, as well as Canada and Japan. Okay, next up, Manas wrote, I've realized this year that being a trader is like being a tourist. It's best to be able investors. It's the greatest pleasure. I now understand why Buffett laughs at most traders. Yeah. I have a lot of students that want to quit their job and become day traders. And I always say it's love my heart. And I pray, please don't do it. Because stocks go up and down because of random events. You're fooled by randomness. And every month has 20 weekdays, meaning 20 days the market is open. And you cannot make money every single month. It's impossible. And if you are, you're probably cooking the books. Yeah. Just be long-term focused, always. You'll sleep better at night, too. Okay, next up, Samuel wrote, what is your opinion on investing in life insurance companies like Transamerica? I started investing in it about 3 months ago, but I'm considering pulling out due to the high fee for me. Yeah. I'm not sure what you mean by if you're investing in the stock or if you've given the insurance company your money for a policy and in return they say they're going to invest in stocks for you. I don't recommend using insurance companies to invest in stocks because there's tons of hidden fees. Yeah. Okay. And Manas wrote, the SEC is suing Binance as well. Yeah, they're coming after all of them. Yeah. And for anybody that has cryptocurrencies in a hot wallet, meaning online, please take your money out and put it into a cold storage wallet, like a USB token, like a Trezor or a Ledger Nano. Yeah. Okay. And then Samuel wrote, is it worth it investing in the insurance company? I can get my money back, ? For context, I'm 25 years old. Yeah. So whenever you invest in anything, what I want you to do is call customer support and ask them to explain the fee structure to you. And since all calls are recorded for quality assurance purposes, I want you to say this. Okay, thank you for explaining that. I'm going to explain it back to you now. So if I invest $100, that means that's $3 in fees per year. And keep repeating it back to them until they say that's correct. Yeah. And you'll probably find that the fees, there's so many hidden fees. Yeah. And you might want to talk to your accountant as well. Accountants know better than I do. Yeah. And nobody should do your own taxes. Always get an accountant, please. All right. Miss T wrote, I will make sure I pack my Blue Jay shirt for graduation next week. LOL. I'm looking forward to meeting you as well, Chris. I'm putting my award show concept on hold to focus on my startup in real estate and private equity. I remember you were working with your mentor based in Detroit as well. Yeah, and when you're here, if you want, we can do a one-on-one. I do 30-minute one-on-ones as well on the Sunday. Go to the website for more details to book the one-on-one if you're interested. And Miss T, when you meet me, you're going to be amazed that I'm just a tiny man. Like you're not going to be able to find me. I'm just really small. Dude, I have gone 1 hour and 5 minutes without awful dad humor. Okay. Moving on to Samuel, who wrote, what is your opinion on using brokerage firms like Interactive Brokers that charge a fee transaction rather than using free ones like Robinhood? Yeah, a couple of things. Number one, commissions, it's a race to zero. What I would do, if you're curious as to which firm to use to invest your money, based on what country people are in, get a list of the 5 biggest banks in your country. Call each one. Ask them to transfer you to their brokerage department if they have one. And then ask them what the fees are. And whatever has the lowest fees, use that. You also want to be mindful of FDIC insurance, right? Meaning federal insurance in case a bank goes belly up. If you're in a country where the government insures just $10,000 worth of your money and you have $50K, then invest through 5 different banks. Yeah. And the way that Robinhood makes money, a lot of people are like, I don't get it. Robinhood doesn't charge fees. How do they make money? Well, they make money on their stock loan business. They make money by lending out shares, your shares, to other people who short those stocks. And they also make money based on how much cash you have sitting in your accounts. So they can make their 5%, whatever it is per year. Okay. Yeah, and Simon wrote, most brokers are scams. Be careful. Yeah, that's why I say call the five biggest banks in your country. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Samuel wrote, what dates do you have your next MBA class, meaning platinum? If you don't have that info now, can you please let us know ASAP? Yeah. So the way it works is, let me show you here. So if you go to harounmba.com, and you scroll down, you'll see it down here. Okay, so if you sign up for silver today, and I'm gonna hide my face in the corner here. But if you sign up for silver today, you're automatically guaranteed to get accepted into gold or platinum. Okay, with a $500 discount as well. But I'm not going to be offering my next gold or platinum program until next year, probably January. I'm really busy right now creating electives to add to the curriculum, and so we created a sixth. I created a sixth pillar. So in the MBA, there's and let me put this up here. One pillar is entrepreneurship. These are props, fake props. Entrepreneurship. Okay. We also have finance and accounting. We have sales, marketing, and communication. We have economics management strategy. We have personal growth. And the sixth pillar I've been at over the past year or two is the technology pillar. And so what I'm doing between now and year end is creating many more tech courses, including how to code in Python the easy way from scratch. I'm also adding a lot of business analytics and other courses, including how to use Tableau, etc., Power BI. Okay. All right. Next up, Samuel wrote, I might need to take personal time off PTO if the date and times fall during working business hours for me. Yeah. Yeah, and you have the rest of your life to finish it. If you sign up for gold or platinum, you can join any future gold and platinum program for free. I'll probably do it Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 until noon Pacific time. Yeah, I'm not sure yet. Okay. All right, next up, DF wrote, what kind of things should one talk about in a meeting after connecting on LinkedIn? Yeah, you bond before business. What I recommend doing is before any meeting you have with anybody for the rest of your life, any first meeting, I want you to go to their Twitter profile, for example, to see who they follow. If they follow, I don't know, if they follow athletes in a sport that you love, like baseball, then you can talk about baseball. If they follow cricket and you love cricket, you can talk about that. If they follow, I don't know, movie stars, you can talk about those movies, etc. Just find something to bond with. You know, sports is great boardroom talk. Yeah. Or if you don't know what to talk about, just, I don't know, talk about the weather or read the newspaper that morning. And every day when I'm getting ready for these calls, I always do this. I say, Alexa, what is the Wall Street Journal news? And then what happens is Alexa, okay, she's not working, that's okay. Alexa will give me the news as I'm getting ready. Yeah. Oh, and make sure to set up Google alerts for the company that you're going to be meeting with. So if you're meeting with Goldman Sachs, you can go to alerts.google.com and set up alerts if there's ever any news about Goldman, and it'll automatically be emailed to your Gmail account or email account. So you're always ready. Yeah. Okay. Give me 1 second. All right. Next up, Hamza wrote, thank you for your time for doing this for free. My pleasure. This is fun. I found my passion, my purpose, ma raison d'être, which is teaching. And the way you know you found your passion is if on vacation or days off, you keep wanting to do this, whatever it is. You know, as Confucius said, find an occupation you enjoy and you'll never work a day for the rest of your life. Yeah. And that's my purpose, is to help my students find their passion as well. Yeah. Don't chase money. If you chase money, you'll lose your money and your dreams. Chase your dreams. Don't care what people think of you. Fail a lot. Fail fast. Keep moving. And the amazing thing is that your dreams will come true and the money will follow accidentally. It always does. Just don't give a damn what anybody thinks of you, though. Okay, next up, Brian, who's a high net worth money manager based in DC, wrote, I think you said Rose is from Virginia and she's building a school. How can I connect with her? Awesome. Rose, if you want, what you can do is email me and then I'll introduce you to Brian. Yeah, thank you. God bless you for that, man. Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, the Berlin wrote, consumer spending went up, but also credit card debt. Can that be an uptick in consumer strength? Yeah. Yeah. Typically, the more credit card debt there is, can be a signal of strong economic growth, consumer spending. But it could also, it all depends. Take it with a grain of salt. It could also mean that consumers are a bit over leveraged. Yeah. And then Johnny Grow Lately wrote, "Sup, dude? Sup, man? Sup?" My youngest son Dylan said, the new thing they say, the younger generation, they don't say groovy and stuff like that. They say bet, B-E-T. So when something is cool, they say bet. If I tell my kids I'm picking up In-N-Out burgers for you tonight, they'll send me 3 letters in a text. Bet. Okay. And then Berlin wrote, Chris, one-on-one meetings at graduation, is that for platinum members only? Yeah, it's just for platinum, yeah. Set one up, please. Yeah, I want to meet with you. Yeah. Okay. Johnny Grow Lately wrote with an emoji, it looks like this. I'm wondering what your opinion is on BRICS and other nations ditching the US dollar for the yuan. Yeah, so BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Jan Hatzius, chief economist at Goldman Sachs, came up with that term when I worked there years ago. And the S at the end, if you add an S, it's South Africa. Yeah. So there's a reason why Bitcoin has been rallying. Okay. And one of the reasons is, and gold as well, is because there's concern that the Chinese government might not be buying as much U.S. debt in the future. That's why gold's gone up a lot. And I think everybody should have gold in their portfolio. I certainly do. But I still think that the U.S. dollar is going to be the reserve currency for the next couple of decades. I think if any country is going to be the reserve currency in the world, it's going to be India, not China. I think there's just too much geopolitical risk with China, and economic growth is slowing. Yeah. But you'll know that the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency in the world if finance executives and investors start using a discount rate that's not US dollar based. Like years ago, people used to use LIBOR, which is London Interbank Offer Rate, for discounting cash. They still use the Federal Reserve, the Fed rates right now, because the very last company on this planet to go bankrupt would be the US government. It's all relative. Yeah, I'm not too concerned. Okay. Okay, next up, Frenchie, how are you? Frenchie's in my MBA class, started May 1st. Great to see you. Who wrote, hey Sensei Chichi, thank you. That's my nickname growing up. It got out there somehow. Because I couldn't say Christopher as a kid. So Chichi, now everyone knows. Hey Chichi, hope you're doing well, likewise. I was in a meeting on cryptos that focused on hash rate. How does that affect the price of the coin? Yeah, it all depends on what the cryptocurrency is. Yeah, and it also depends on many things. When you're mining cryptos, it depends on the price per kilowatt hour of electricity where you live. Yeah. And if you want, during office hours today, you can tell me the name of the crypto you're curious about, and I can talk about exactly how to mine it. Yeah. Okay. Next up, Manas wrote, I humbly think the market of the United States is up because there's no debt ceiling. There's no limit how much you can actually spend, as much money as possible. Why does the U.S. print so much money and fake money? Yeah. So the way the U.S. Constitution was set up, the U.S. economy from day one, is it was set up so that they could raise as much money as possible and be the lender of last resort. And that's what Andrew Jackson talked about. Andrew Jackson's on the $20 bill. He looks like Mick Jagger. And it's all relative too, right? So if there's another economy in the world that people believe is more capitalist than the United States and more business friendly, then that company or that country will take share from the U.S. But as it stands right now, the United States is the very last company in the world, so to speak, that would go belly up. Everything is relative. It always is. Yeah. Okay. But it's not fair though, man. If you can make money and you're being paid in Indian rupees where you live or U.S. dollars, it doesn't seem fair that governments can print as much currency as they want to. I'm out of bullets here, just like U.S. government can print as much currency as they want to and dilute your net worth. It's not fair. So it's incumbent upon us to understand that cash is trash and diversify. Diversify amongst asset classes, stocks, bonds, real estate, etc. And make sure you don't have more than 5% of your liquid net worth in any one particular stock, which is what I talk about in my MBA program in a lot of detail. Yeah. Okay. However, if interest rates go up materially in the United States and you live in the United States, then you want to own U.S. debt. So, for example, back in the early 1980s when unemployment was 10%, what the United States government did, Paul Volcker, God bless him, he was the Federal Reserve chairperson at the time, he raised interest rates to about 20%. And he did that because inflation was insanely high in the early 1980s during the Carter administration. And what that did, having interest rates that high, 20%, is it caused people to say, I'm not buying stocks. Why the hell would I buy stocks? I can invest in U.S. government debt, right, which is risk-free. I can't lose my money and I can make 20%. So when interest rates are artificially high, every other asset class is a loser investment. Rates are not there yet. But about a year ago, it was fascinating. I bought bonds from treasurydirect.gov, and my return was close to 10%. And at that point, I thought, why the hell would I buy stocks? Yeah. Okay. And that's inflation adjusted. Yeah. And you'll notice also that in the early 1980s, not many companies were founded. There weren't any blockbuster IPOs. We had to wait until like 1986 before Oracle and Microsoft went public within 1 month of each other. Okay. All right, next up, Alex wrote, Chris, just curious. I'm trying to help my parents get started on a will and living trust. Yeah. What do you think is the best route to get educated on this? I want to avoid the probate courts. Yeah. So what I recommend doing, this is exactly what I did, okay, is you go to this exact website, and I'm proud to say I'm not sponsored by anybody, nor will I ever be. I'm true and pure to my students. Okay, so I'm not biased. Go to LegalZoom.com. And what I want you to do is give them a call, okay, and set up a meeting so you can actually get a will and trust right here, last will and testament. And if you're not in the United States, just do a search for what is the Canada equivalent, for example, of LegalZoom. Yeah, LegalZoom's in Canada too. Yeah. And what you want to do is you want to set up a trust at the same time as well. It's called a revocable trust. Yeah. Okay. Vicente wrote, I'm unable to access MBA office hours. Please advise. Yeah. Okay. Tell you what, Vicente, you know that Zoom address that I gave you for our one-on-one a while ago? Use that. Yeah. Okay. Johnny Grow lately wrote, just like you do before an interview with a company, research the company and use that knowledge in the interview. Shows incentive, among other things. Absolutely. And you can even start an answer to a question with, well, I was reviewing the latest annual report for your company, and I noticed that. And that's a subconscious way of saying, I did the work. Yeah. Good point. Okay. Manas wrote, it's official, the 22nd of August of 2023, the BRICS nations are going to launch a gold-backed currency in digital form to trade amongst themselves. That means 40% of world trade will happen with gold-backed currency. Even Brazil, Venezuela, Argentina, Saudi, UAE, Bolivia all want to join BRICS now. My mentor, Chris, please. The dynamic are changing soon, maybe, and maybe 10 years from now we'll have a different scenario. Yeah. I'll believe when I see it. Yeah. I say I would love my hair. All right, next up we have Eduardo from Texas, who goes by the moniker Electronics Onsite. His son is, I think, second in the country now in Taekwondo. Amazing. He'll be in the Olympics, proudly representing us. So Eduardo wrote, hi, Chris, good to see you. Likewise. Dallas City Council recently voted to ban Airbnbs and other short-term rental properties from residential neighborhoods. Do you think this will be a trend in other cities? Yeah. One data point doesn't make a trend. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure why the reason why they did that. And by the way, anybody looking to buy a house, when you buy a house, try to see if you can buy a house with an external entrance to another room and Airbnb it. And that's what I did, which more than paid for the mortgage for a while. And always do a search locally to see if Airbnb is permitted in your municipality. All right. All right. And Manos wrote, El Salvador is issuing Bitcoin bonds to make a city on that. It's a fabulous idea, and they're up 60% year over year. Your thoughts? Is this the future of funding? Yeah. Yeah, so El Salvador a couple of years ago, they scrapped their currency in favor of using Bitcoin. And I thought that was fiscally irresponsible to take a bet on a digital currency. Yeah. And the reason why they might have a little bit of success now, it's a dead cat bounce, it's easy year over year comps comparisons, is because Bitcoin is up a lot. Yeah. Okay, and then you wrote here, it's been true since the beginning of time. Gold stands the test of time over and over again. A currency backed by gold is a dangerous idea, but quite frankly, a good one long term. What are your thoughts? Yeah. So the US dollar used to be based on gold. It was based on gold. And then in 1972, when I was a baby, President Richard Nixon, remember that guy? I'm not a criminal. He took the US dollar off the gold standard. And the US dollar is backed by the full faith and credit of the US government. But I think everybody should have gold again in their portfolio. There's a scarcity of it, of course. There's no concern about environmental impact longer term, like investing in oil or gas, natty gas. I think gold's a great long-term investment. Yeah. And it was my biggest holding, actually, GLD ticker. That's an ETF for gold. It was my biggest holding on the long side of my portfolio in 2008. Okay. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a short video on Magu. If you have questions about the school we built, please let me know. Thanks. So we're here in front of the completed school.
That one.
We're going to build many more buildings as well. This will be used for a meeting place, general classroom purposes, as well as a computer science lab. We got a lot of laptops. That was a goat. We also have solar on the roof. Powering the building. So, Vital, thank you so much for this.
No, thank you, man.
Vital's story is so inspiring. He inspires me so much. Do you want to share your story?
So the story is how I grew up in that village called Magu. So it's a village with no access to electricity, no access to internet, no access to infrastructure. And I got a chance to go to study primary, secondary, and university, and so many kids in my age mate, they didn't get a chance to get that education. And so when we met Chris, because he's so much passionate about education, and so I was sharing with this my story with him, and he asked me one question like, if you would be given time, what would you do? What are you passionate about? So I shared that my passion is to give back to that village specifically, because I know that they don't have, they don't have access to that high quality education, and so that's how the idea came. Like, okay, giving back to that village through education, and so that's the background. And so I grew up in that village and went to university, and made it to university, to master's degree in Germany. And I have just a heart to give back to that village.
Together, we believe that every problem in the world can be solved with a combination of education and technology. And we're going to make it happen together. And we're going to create a blueprint, a business plan, so to speak, based on Project Magu, so that anybody in the world can apply what we've learned to provide online education to every student in the world.
Even in those villages like mine.
We are conscious of our environment, and so that's why we use solar panels.
Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world.
So nkuko yari bamwe babyumvishije kare, Nelson Mandela yigize kuvuga ikintu gikomeye cyane ngo education cyangwa se uburezi ni intwari ikomeye ushobora gukoresha uhindura ubuzima bw'abantu.
And this is the first of many schools that we're going to build together here in Rwanda. And students will never pay for education at our schools.
Kandi nta munyeshuri uzakwa amafaranga kugira ngo yige math.
And I want to thank Vital from the bottom of my heart for making this dream become a reality. You inspire me so much.
Oh man,
Thank
right,
you.
translate that.
Let's go into school. We're here at Project Magu in Rwanda. We're about to start teaching a class. We have about 100 students in the classroom here. It should be a lot of fun. All right. And that's a wrap. Okay, for those of you in my Silver MBA degree program, I'll see you in 33 minutes from now at 10 a.m. Pacific time for our weekly Zoom call. For those of you in my Gold and Platinum program, I'll see you at 11:20. For those of you also in my Gold and Platinum program, I'm looking forward to meeting you in person here on August 12th and 13th. That's a Saturday and Sunday for our annual networking and graduation event. God bless you all. Click like if you want to, only if this was helpful. And I'll see you all next week. And I'm going to end this webcast like I do every week with a very short interview with Steve Jobs that I licensed from the Silicon Valley Historical Association. Thank you.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it, that's maybe the most important thing, is to shake off this erroneous notion that life is there and you're just going to live in it, versus embrace it, change it, improve it, make your mark upon it. I think that's very important. And however you learn that, once you learn it, you'll want to change life and make it better, because it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Once you learn that, you'll never be the same again.